The story takes place over the course of 25 years. It's, there are parts that are directly after MK9. There are parts that are 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 25 years ahead. And we kind of jump around, but most of it takes place in the far future, which is the 25 years ahead. Mortal Kombat 9 had a really good reception to its story mode, the various chapters that you would follow each character. And we also did that in Injustice, and so we continue to get really good response to that. So Mortal Kombat X is probably going to continue in that fashion with some enhancements that people will be happy with. There are certain periods of the story that where these descendant characters are adults, so we had to really kind of focus on the latter part of it because we didn't really want to show these characters growing up the entire time. Although we show them in younger versions, but so for the most part, the way effective of us, it kind of pushed it towards the latter part of it, where we see some of these characters, Kano and Raiden and Sub-Zero, all in their kind of older forms. The characters like Cassie Cage is kind of a descendant of Johnny Cage and Sonya, and so we thought that showing them as fightable characters was probably the most interesting, so people can actually play as them, and so that means they're adults, which kind of pushes us into the latter part of the story. I think one of the most interesting thing about these descendant characters is seeing them interact with their elder relatives, and so there's cousins and sons and daughters and all that stuff that we're going to be introducing, but to me the most interesting thing is seeing them interact with the characters that everybody knows. We haven't determined the final DLC characters in the game. Rain was a DLC character in MK9, so the only thing I would say to that is his chances would be less likely, and because we want to do as much new stuff as possible in Mortal Kombat X. There currently isn't a Mortal Kombat versus project in the works. There's a nostalgia side of me that would love to see a Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter if we were allowed to make an M-rated game. I think that people might. There's a novelty to that, but the chances of that happening are pretty low. It's a possibility, but not a probability. In my opinion, the fact that we've been very aggressive with not being afraid to change things up. If you play Mortal Kombat 1, it plays nothing like, Mortal Kombat Deception, which plays nothing like Mortal Kombat 9, and Mortal Kombat X with its variations has, something that hasn't been done before in any other Mortal Kombat game. So we're not afraid to just add new things, really mix things up so the experience is different with every game. Unfortunately, some other fighting franchises have repeated the same thing, but with a prettier skin, and they've just kind of faded off into obscurity. And that's something that we've really tried not to do, is to just put the same game. Mortal Kombat X isn't MK9 with prettier graphics. It's a whole new kind of fighting system. For people who are familiar with Mortal Kombat, we first had the fatality, and then we added a babality, and we added friendship moves and brutality moves and all these crazy things over the years, and we are going to be reinstating an ality. From a previous game into Mortal Kombat X, and I can't wait to be able to talk about it, but at the moment I can't. Currently we've only announced that it's coming out in 2015. I'm sure within the next few weeks we're going to give an actual release date, month and day, but it's coming out for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, Xbox One, Xbox 360, and PC.